Hello 7th grade and welcome to day 3 of e-learning. Okay, so today in reading we're going to talk about logical relationships, or how nonfiction connects to the world. So, to start off, I've got a question for you. Which of these made-up headlines seems more interesting to you? Scientist invents new car engine, or Scientist invents engine that will make flying cars affordable for everyone? There isn't necessarily a right or wrong answer, I'm just interested in your opinion. So don't worry, I won't grade this one. Alright, I'm guessing most of you probably put this one, right? Scientist invents engine that will make flying cars affordable for everyone. Let's talk about why that one is more interesting. The fact is that the second headline related to us, right? Scientist invents engine that will make flying cars affordable for everyone. Hey, I'm everybody. I'm everyone. It's gonna make flying cars affordable for me. We have a relationship with this headline. It could change our lives, right? It could make it so that flying cars finally become part of our everyday life. Unfortunately, the headline is just made up, but I'm still holding out hope. Okay, nonfiction writers need to think about logical relationships so that they can relate their topic to the world around it. Just like the reporter who wrote that second headline, they were thinking, okay, this scientist invented a new engine, but people aren't going to care about it unless I tell them how that will affect their lives. The first reporter did not think about that, and so we weren't very interested. Nonfiction writers often ask themselves these questions. What caused the topic? And what was the topic's effect? For instance, if an author wants to write about the Civil War, for instance, they are going to think, what events and ideas caused it? That's one cause question. Notice that right here, they're asking a question. They're not putting information in already, because that comes later. They would also ask, who suffered during it? That's an effect question. Notice again, this is a question. They're not putting information in quite yet. You also might notice that this cause and this effect question, well, you could ask a lot of different ones other than these. Like for the cause question, you could ask, who was the first general in the Civil War? Or what was the date that the North and the South decided to declare war? For effect, you could ask something like, who benefited during the war? Did anybody benefit during the war? What effect did it have on the future of the United States? So these are two questions, and they're very good questions, but there are always lots of other choices you can go with. Let's do another example. An author wants to write about social networks. So, for their cause question, they'll ask, how were they first created, these social networks? Remember, that's just one question they could ask of many, but I think it's a good one. They could, for their effect question, ask, why are they so popular? Once again, this is just one choice out of many. They could have asked, how do they affect people's self-esteem? But they chose to ask, why are they so popular? Once again, I think a good choice. So I'd like you to try a few out. Imagine that an author wants to write about their life as a spy. Tell me, what would be one good cause question they could ask? Go ahead and write that in Edpuzzle. Okay, what's a good effect question they could ask? Go ahead and write that in Edpuzzle. Remember, both of these should be questions, not pieces of information, right? Alright, let's move on to another example. Let's say an author wants to write about airplanes and aviation. Aviation is the study of airplanes and how to fly, and then the practice of doing so. So what do you think would be a good cause question for airplanes and aviation? Here's a hint. Think about the history of airplanes and aviation. Alright, what would be a good effect question about airplanes and aviation? What would be a good question about how they affect someone, something. Go ahead and write your answer in Edpuzzle. Excellent work. All right, this is a shorter lesson for today. We're going to move on to our last topic, which is bias. Bias is an inclination, a feeling, or an opinion. You might use it in a sentence like this. If you say, I have a bias against raisins, that means you do not like raisins. Okay. If you say, I have a bias toward or in favor of chocolate chips, that means you like chocolate chips. You're a fan. A fun fact, I have a bias against raisins. Mr. Simic. All right. Imagine there are two reporters who both hear that the raisin companies are making a lot of money. One reporter is biased against raisins. One author is biased in favor of raisins. Tell me which author likes raisins. Okay, the author on the right likes raisins. The author is biased in favor of raisins. Okay, so the author on the left, who's not a fan, might claim that the raisin companies are tricking people into buying raisins. Okay. The author on the right might claim that people are finally all realizing how delicious raisins are. Unfortunately, neither of these reporters are good reporters because they are letting their bias, their opinions, take over. A good reporter's job is just to provide people with information and let them make their own opinion on it. Neither of them did research to discover that the raisin companies were all having huge sales on their raisins. If they had reported that, then people not only would have received the truth instead of just guesses, they would have received information that they could then build their own bias or opinion on. When we write and when we read, it's important for us to make sure that bias is not in the equation, unless you're writing something like a persuasive essay. But even when you write about your opinions, you have to back up that information. Otherwise, is it really you telling someone something that's true, or just sort of venting? All right, excellent work today, 7th grade. I will talk with you tomorrow.